Hello and welcome to UK Versus. Still arguably a better use for your computer than the LinkedIn keyboard shortcut. I am once again joined by Richard Levi Simp, and we have some very special guests, one of which is currently not with us, which is Ty's House of Cards. And we are joined by the UVS Hermit as we go over the cards of the set and how we feel about them. How are you doing starting off with UVS Hermit?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And hi, everyone. So I was running a little bit late this evening. Too busy playing Frosthaven.
But yeah, first of all, that joke was just because I found out there's actually a keyboard shortcut that brings up LinkedIn on your computer, built into your computer, which I find hilarious. And that we're going to have a quick look at the cards of Attack on Titan Battle for Humanity, and we're going to voice some opinions on those cards, on the power levels, on design, and how we just feel about the set in general. Do not feel like you have to be positive if you have got anything negative or constructive you want to say. This is a safe place. You can say how you truly feel.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of the cards Sorry, go on.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just say a couple of the cards I sent Brett on the list of ones were certainly not necessarily for positive reasons. So,
So I won't be punished for saying that the Beard Titan is basically a coaster at this point.
Oh, I got a foiled beard titan, and I was just like, it's become a meme. It really has, and I partially feel responsible because I'm like one of the first people that kicked off saying it doesn't work, and then it got turned out it doesn't work. But no, someone pulled it in the draft, and we just laughed because it just doesn't do anything. But we won't stick too much on the Bearded Titan, and I'll start off with one that I absolutely love, to the point where I specifically bought more just so I had enough, which is Night Terrors, which is not on either of your lists, so good luck quickly getting that up.
yeah.
And that's just because visually, I love this card. It is just a 6 diff, 6 mid for 6 with powerful 3. It's a 0 mid block, which is great. But other than that, it is literally just because of the art. That gruesome sort of pressure that you feel when reading the manga, it just seems to be exacerbated by the hot pink tones that went into this and the different shadings. This was such a cool artistic decision to take this card.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of just like the numbers on the card, it's not the worst possible, right? I mean, it's sort of limited filler to an extent, but like, you know, 0 mid is pretty decent, and like it's big old stats and it's got that big powerful dump. Like, it's probably not going to see playing constructed anytime soon, but it's also wouldn't be the craziest if it did. But yeah, like to me, the artwork, it's that sort of bottom right hand almost looks like a baby with a big head. Yeah, it's just that's the most unnerving bit of this artwork is that bottom right hand side.
Yeah.
Welcome, Ty.
Oh, hey.
You joined at a very weird time.
I did. I saw the baby's head in it. Richard, my man, what's up?
Yes, and welcome to Ty. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yes, yes. Good to see you guys. Good to see. Wait. Why are you hiding over there, Pinky?
Hmm?
Why are you hiding over there? Why are we seeing your face?
Oh, because Discord does not like my camera, so my camera just goes directly to Twitch. It's so I can pull faces about what you're saying without being judged.
Yeah, that's why I always have Twitch running as well, like on a browser.
Well, anyways, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't mean to interrupt, guys. I'm just happy to see you guys. My bad. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, continue.
No, I'm being the hype man. We were just talking about Night Terrors, and I specifically bought 10 more of them to make sure I just had a massive stack of them. I want this on a playmat. I want this to be on sleeves. I think it's such a cool card.
Let me see. Okay, we're on Night Terror, you said?
Yeah, night time.
Yeah.
All right. Me.
I wish they'd bring that back for like redemption, where you could request card art on a mat. I remember they used to do that way back in the day.
They did?
Oh, really? Did they?
That sounds nuts.
Yeah, I guess it's
way back, like Jasco level. Like when I started playing almost 10 years ago, you could spend redemption points to get a mat, and it could be requested any of the card art they currently had license to.
I'm sorry, what?
Hmm.
Why?
Mhm.
I guess it was just too expensive, but I mean, that's
Probably.
nuts.
Yeah, I guess nowadays with how restrictive IPs tend to be in terms of products and stuff, I don't think you could necessarily just request one these days. But yeah,
The good old days.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I remember trying to save up stuff for that, and then the license I would rotate it out.
Golly. Pain. The pain.
Uh,
The pain.
Oh, but could you imagine getting the Godzilla like on playmats and there's so many good cards that would have been such good playmats.
yeah.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
make
they
your
were sick.
card. I want an official UVS custom playmat. That sounds nuts.
Right.
Doesn't it?
Well, I mean, you never know. They might bring back that sort of thing in the future. But yeah, I think these days
Well,
probably
hey.
not.
We know they watch you guys, so
Yeah.
put that out there in the ether.
Mhm.
We've got
Mhm.
Apple, who remembers doing that. They were going to get an Akuma mat, and apparently, when they sent the sample, you get, because the cards are a bit slimmer, you get a lot more in the art than you would. So I imagine this would either be zoomed in or expanded out a bit more to cover more of the Titans and more of the forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's certainly one of the more stark pieces of art in the set.
Oh, it definitely is. It's a morbid art, but it's so visually beautiful.
Yeah, it's almost a shame it's sort of almost wasted on a fairly sort of bang average type card, right? So
I was fine with XRs being rotated out until I saw this card, and I was like, just give me, especially the way they're doing the foiling and the characters. If the rest of this card was just completely matte, but all the Titans were foiled, would be hype.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope.
It'd be interesting.
So, who has a card they would like to talk about? Apart from Tam, who did not give me a list.
I mean, I
didn't get to give you.
So.
Go ahead, Jid.
Go ahead. Yeah, Q. I'm gonna start looking at my list now.
Yeah. So feel free to.
Yeah, I've got both mine and Richard's list pulled up, so I can go back and forth to wherever.
So we're talking about just the certain art, right? That
I started off by talking about the art that I really liked, but you can talk about anything.
Yeah, just any card from the set you feel like either represents something you like, something you don't like, a card you're excited to build with, a card you might think is like overhyped. Anything really, any reason to talk about specific cards, right? There is no rules.
All right, cool.
Let's,
all right, cool.
While you're doing that, let's just go with one that Mr. Hermit insisted we have on since the start of it, and let's get your views on Stomp of the Female Titan.
All right. So the reason I wanted to add this card was because I love build-around cards. Cards that are like, this is what I'm going to build my deck around. And that response is nuts. 3 times during the attack, you can double the boost that it gets. I immediately started looking into how big I could make this card. Turns out, there's a lot of characters that have life and a Sugar Rush power-up symbol. So to just make this like an 11 middle, like a 9 mid 11 for one action is pretty insane.
What's Smiling Titan's other symbol?
Death. She doesn't have it. But Overhaul does. Overhaul has Earth. And if you don't want to block a 3 mid 3, he's totally going to make you take 7.
Yeah. I mean, my feeling with this card is it's very much a sort of kitchen table type card, right? Or like it's one of those sort of aspirational cards in that, yeah, it's very much a build around. It really does a very cool thing, but the big thing is that big number 7 in the top left, right? And that's the issue of, and how do you get those other 3 cards to make it worth playing that 7? Like, just a +1/+1 doesn't really cut it, right? Like just doubling that to a +2/+2, and you want the sort of mirrored stats. You want to give both speed and damage on your pumps 3 times. So yeah, it's who can give this the biggest numbers for free and not worry too much about that 7. Yeah, a Sugar Rush is certainly one of the coolest things you can do with it.
Oh, yeah. There's also a really insane retro play with it, but we're not here to talk about that.
I mean, we can talk retro. We want to talk retro.
Yeah.
I want to run a
you guys
Mina
remember
1.
an action called
For retro, I want to run Mina 1 with the 13 diff attack, so I can check it and just play for free.
Absolutely. Just slot machine that for fun.
So,
but no, Shitenketsu is an action that says reduce your current attack's damage to 0. Your next attack gets double that attack's printed damage.
Oh no.
So you play with one of these big things like the Colossal Titan attacks or something. It drops down to 0. You can reset it. Play Stomp of the Female, give it plus 20, double that to plus 40 damage.
Yeah, no, that's the thing.
Something like that. And then just play Annie and give it a throw. Make it throw.
Cross, are you sure that's true? Because it says and.
I mean,
if it was a speed or damage bonus, if that's how it read, then that would make sense. But it says and.
Well, I mean,
so I give it +1/+1. I respond. I double it, so it becomes 2/2.
But then that wouldn't also imply that you couldn't use it unless you were giving both a speed and damage bonus.
No, it's and or, right? So
yeah,
I give it plus damage. Yeah, so I give it +2, +2 speed. It doubles to +4 speed. But if I give it +1/+1, it doubles to +2/+2. Both of those responses are single instances of the response.
Well, I'm sure Apple will now be in the EU judges chat getting us a ruling on that. Sorry, Murray, for ruining your Sunday evening.
Yeah, I mean, Apple's saying it's symmetrical in answer one, and as far as I'm concerned, I trust Apple on everything. So,
I mean, you got playtester versus judge. This is either one could be right.
And also, the other thing I would ask is, with that floating thing, the floating damage from that retro thing you were talking about, does that count as another card's effect? I assume it does.
I would say so, yes, because it's the action giving it the damage.
It's not getting damage from itself, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I guess it's just whether because it's a floating ability that happens, whether that counts as being from a card. I don't know.
Yeah, it's still an effect from a card.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool card.
Only can play during the attack. Oh yeah. I think the response is only during this attack, and the floating would hit before the enhanced step, so that wouldn't be during this attack. That wouldn't work.
Sad day.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, Sugar Rush is probably the biggest instance of stats from one card, right? That I can think of.
At least that I found so far.
Yeah. There's some that do +3/+3. I don't know if they share symbols or what have you, but yeah, there are things you can do with this. I
think this is one of the most anticipated SR. This is one of the ones that people are most hyped for.
I don't know if I agree.
I don't know about that one. I don't think that's the SR that people are hyped
I'm not saying it's the most. I'm not saying it's the most to have. It's one of the ones people are hyped for.
Yeah, I think it's a cool thing. I just don't think it will see.
It's no whirling slash.
Play. Yeah,
he said it's not whirling slash. It's not whirling slash.
It's not whirling slash.
No, I understand what you're saying though.
Yeah. But it's still very, very good.
Yeah. and it's a 7, which is not ideal, but not necessarily out of the realms of stuff, right? Like we're not talking
Yeah,
a
it's not a
13 here.
13.
So
We've done 2 positive ones. I'm going to go to the one that I added that I wasn't overwhelmed with visually, if I can find it. Oh.
My list is almost done, y'all. I promise. I got
sword skill. It's a decent card, but for me, visually, it's just that it's a trapezoid surrounded by black. It's not a great use of the space of the card compared to when you see how they've used manga panels in other cards.
Yeah, it does seem pretty simplistic.
It still looks pretty. It's just it's got a lot of dead space around it, which to me seems like a wasted opportunity.
yeah, I guess it might be one of those ones where they didn't have a lot to work with, and they did the best they could.
I mean, they could have literally just zoomed in so it was more of a rectangle, like to fill out the space on Connie's face with the swords, rather than just the trapezoid manga panel.
Yeah, but I guess it's sort of an uncommon, so they don't put obviously as much effort into those like uncommons and commons as some of the stuff. But yeah, I get it. But yeah, it's not the most exciting card. It's not the most exciting artwork.
Has anyone got any cards they'd like to jump to?
Okay, we can go to like one of mine. We can do another sort of negative one.
I'll get the next one after you, Rich, if that's all right.
So let's do ultra hard steel.
Ultra hard steel. Shut up. Got that one. So the 8 diff, 8 mid for 10, with a 1 mid block for check.
Yeah. So this is sort of almost a placeholder for my beef with some of the cards in this set, right? And it is the sort of Blando 8, 7, 9, the high difficulty 4 check attacks they put on most, I think maybe all symbols, right? Are these common and commons. Just like, why? Why is sort of whoever that is, again, I don't necessarily know the characters too well, so is that Mikasa or someone? I don't know.
That is Mikasa, yeah.
Yeah. Why is her looking at a sword at 8 mid for 10, 8 difficulty? Like, why do these things exist? And their existence, I think, really takes away from the Titan attacks being those big splashy things. Yeah. I think if these common sort of Blando attacks that are doing nothing sort of, I mean, I assume they're there for sort of limited or something, but if they didn't exist, I think it makes those big splashy Titan attacks much more special. But now there's also these kind of bog standard sort of bland versions of them. I think it takes something away from having those big difficulty 4 check attacks in the set. And I think it makes those a little less special than they are as being this cool thing. And it's just like, oh, this just now a thing that happens. We have these high difficulty 4 check attacks. And I don't like it. They're not going to see competitive play. They're fine and limited. And I don't know that they serve too much purpose. And like I said, I think they just, to me, their biggest crime is taking away from those big Titan huge attacks being special. Because, why does the fact that you've got these huge difficulty, huge number of attacks representing Titans makes a lot of sense, right? And that's cool. But then if like the humans also get like an 8 mid 10, like it just, it's just a bit of a disconnect there that I do not like.
Which one is this one again? Sorry.
The fire one is just
ultra hard steel tie.
Ultra
hard. Yeah.
It is a bit
or
weird.
Like the selfless strike, the fire one that's just someone looking off in the distance, and somehow that's a fury attack.
Yeah.
And a strike.
I mean,
they just don't feel thought through.
I can totally agree with that. It makes it feel like you have the humans who are dealing with these 3 and lower difficulty attacks, but then you have these random big blank attacks that kind of should just be left for the Titans. I can kind of see where that's a little.
It is a bit of a weird, like as you say, Richard. These big Titan attacks with all the Titans facing it are designed to kind of be their kind of attacks. This kind of takes away from it.
Yeah,
when we see the
and there are
humans,
some like sorry, go on.
when you see the humans doing their attacks, it's like with things like pressing the advantage and other ones like it's always quick stabs, kind of like what when they've been translating it into the card game. It's the humans are fast, nimble attacks that have a purpose, and the Titans are more chaotic, high damage attacks that are just trying to get through. Which kind of this is a Titan attack with a human face.
Yeah, I just like almost to me. It would have made more sense, like if they just had the keyword Titan, right, and it was a different thing with the same numbers, same symbol, right, it would have been better. But yeah, it's like this and get moving and tear down the wall and just all these things that are, and like selfish strike, all these things that are just these big numbers, 8 difficulty 4 checks that just aren't Titan attacks. It just like the whole point is that the Titans are huge and destroying everything, and the humans are tiny. And it's just like, well, if they're now getting the same numbers from attack, like what's the differentiation there? And
yeah, they could have quite easily just put ultra hard skin and stuck right the armor Titan's face in this and had it look.
Well, in the case of Selfish Strike, I think that 12 damage attack, that's higher than any of the Titan attacks, isn't it? Like all the Titans, I think the highest one is, I think biggest Titan attack is
Colossus
Titan attacks at 10
Colossus. The 10 damage is the biggest one.
So that random
wait. No, there's wait. Oh, you said Titan. Never mind. You said Titan attack. Never mind. You said Titan attack.
What's the damage on
Strike has more damage
Leap?
on. Leap is I think that's a 10 mid 8 or an 11 mid 8, something like that.
Yeah, 10 mid 8. And so like the two biggest, so Selfish Strike being a 6 mid 12, and then Tear Down the Wall being a 7 mid 11. Neither of them are Titan attacks.
Those are higher than the Titan attacks.
Right.
Yeah, it's just there's a disconnect from a design perspective.
Yeah, I agree. I see. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, Tear Down the Wall doesn't have Titan on it, but it is a Colossus Titan attack.
Right.
Yeah.
And
so what's the 10 keyword? Like,
but missing the Titan.
Yeah. I mean, Tear Down the Wall has the Titan. It doesn't have the Titan keyword, yeah.
I just think it's an S for me.
Yeah, I think Selfish Strike is fine because it is Ymir, which is also a Titan, so it doesn't have the Titan keyword.
Yeah, again, I just like I said, I think it takes away from the specialness of those Titan attacks being a thing, and I think that's a miss for me.
Yeah. Especially since that's kind of one of the things they want to show in the set.
Yeah.
That's kind of one of the themes they wanted to go with.
Yeah, it's not really, you wouldn't really expect the humans to have these big attacks outside of like, I don't know what happens later in the manga, but unless people are dropping nukes and stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be a twist.
But yeah, Ty, you're up.
Yeah. All right. So obviously, I'm gonna go with mine is gonna be a mix, right? But this one, this is kind of me picking at kind of some. Well, I love the art, right? I like a lot of the art. I didn't know if I was gonna like the art with the manga twist and everything, right? Because you start looking at everything else, and you're like, man, they really put some stuff in it. But this has a unique taste, a touch on it. But the one thing that bothers me about some art, I don't like repeated art. I don't like an art on one card and they use the same art on another card and think, let me just add a couple of things and oh look, we got a different piece. And it's like, no, I want to see something different, right? If it's supposed to be unique. And I don't know what I'm talking about is y'all know what Protect the Recruit is, right?
Yeah.
Y'all seen it? All right. Do y'all know what I'm talking about as far as the repeat art?
High speed dive.
Right. Have y'all talked about this already, or is
no? Honestly, I hadn't even noticed it was repeat art.
Yes.
Neither did
y'all see that? I know a lot of people.
I'm looking at it right now.
I catch all this stuff, and there's a couple of ones that I saw that I'll point out, and so I try to So I'm like you, Rich, right? Like, nah, certain things are kind of like. Don't get me wrong. I like the idea of the high speed. I like, right? We're looking at the colors and everything else. Great. I don't like the shortcut. I
Hold
don't
on,
like.
I'm just gonna go to like my master list of
Okay.
manga volumes and pages to see if this is intentional. It's a common. Cool, I can look
I
at my
mean,
list.
maybe it is
Yeah.
intentional, but even if it was intentional, I think it's.
Yeah, it's
I'm,
especially like it being like a secret rare that's sort of shared. I mean,
that's.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's my point.
Yeah,
When I'm thinking
the
secret
same art
rare,
for a
sorry.
common and a secret.
That's. Do you see what I'm saying? Me now. Yeah, all right. I'm just sharing. I feel like y'all share the same thing. I'm like,
Protect the
if we're going the new
Recruits,
route,
Volume 10, Page 10. Secret Rares.
Hmm.
High Speed Dive,
I
Volume 10, Page 10. It's the exact. Yeah, it's
it's
Yeah.
the exact.
yeah.
It's
Even
the
in
exact.
the like list.
And like,
You see what
sure, the high speed dive has a different styling to it, but it's still the same, right? And
It's still the
and it's
same.
jarring.
That's just me. I know like I'm an artist myself. I like art. I'm very big on colors and schemes and texture, all those things, right? And one of
Mm.
the biggest things for me in card games is the art. Let's be honest, right? Like if we say like, yo, that looks you ain't even gotta play the game, right? You just look at it and be
Mm.
like, I kind of like that. Like
Yeah,
I may not play, but I like that. I might get the card just to have the card on the table. Just like I don't know, right?
yeah.
So when I see stuff like that, it kind of bothers me. Like, right? There's that
Mhm.
little itch that's like, why we shortcut that? Why did we try to think we could hide that and think somebody's not gonna notice? I mean, we probably didn't because we're like, oh yeah, we're about playing the game. But and some people might be like, oh, it's not that big a deal. I was like, yeah, it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. You'd say unique cards. They're gonna be unique cards. Show me the uniqueness, right? Um, and
It was,
then
it was the same in Girl Power, right? Because you had the Giro one, so was it audio reverberation, and then there was one of her other attacks that basically had, or foundation, I can't remember what it was, that basically had the same art.
the exact same art, right?
Yeah.
They just and I don't and this is no disrespect at all, not no disrespect whatsoever, but it almost comes off like yeah, like okay, well this should be fine. Just all right, we'll just do this. It should be fine, right?
Mm.
Like not a. It almost like I don't know if it's a deadline thing or if they really are just like, well, I like the way this look. Let's just use it this way, right? But it's
From
still to me good.
from a play point of view, I don't know how you guys feel when you're playing, but if I see a card's art, I associate that with a card. If I see midnight, if I see, I get to the point where I identify cards more based on their art than what their name is because it's easier for
Mm.
me to quickly put it up. If I see that art, if I see high speed dives art on a particular recruit, at some point my head's gonna go, that's a high speed dive, and I'm going to go, no, but it's not an SR.
I almost do the same
Yeah,
thing technically, right? It's just it's like if you look at the blitzes on them, they're very very similar.
That thank you. Now you see my
So like in terms of the text on the cards, right?
mhm,
I like High Speed Dive. I think it's one of the better cards in the set. It almost made my list just from the text on the card perspective, right? I think a effective 6 mid 7 for 6 that gives everything +2 speed for the rest of the turn. I think is very good in some of these air decks that are trying to big out these big strings. So I think is actually really quite strong if you're happy to play a 6. And
mhm.
then Protect the Recruits looks entirely phoned in, right? They're just like, okay, we've got this one. Let's just make a common version of it. So it only does itself. It's a 5, mid 5, done, boom, right?
Right.
Whereas, like, Protect the High Speed Die feels like the designed card, and Protect the Recruits is the we need another common. Fuck it, that'll do kind
Uh,
of approach.
just going back to our stomp discussion, someone just sent me the rules on effects. Effect, execute order, instructions in order, each step along. So when you apply a bonus to an attack, the damage and the speed are applied separately. Despite so each response, so the response would have to trigger for both. This does mean,
Until they
however,
get Until I get an official answer from either Apple
That's
or
in the
Maddie.
official. That's in the official rules. That's part of the living rule book.
No, until I get an official response from one of those two people.
I'll tell you what. That can be your bearded titan. You can make a whole video about how it should work that way.
We're just like, no.
No, until I get an official judge confirming that I'm not interested.
Just to play devil's advocate on the other side of it, I know I just said like I identify
love
cards for
Richard.
the art, and this might be a bit confusing for a split second. But one of the good things about Attack on Titan is the attack lineups are kind of the same. They've all got a centralized point they're going for. So having this protecting the recruits and having high speed dive be very similar, but one being essentially an upgraded version of it could also be put down the thing of the attack lineups are always the same, but this is just a more efficient way to attack the Titans than the one. One is
no. I don't agree. I mean,
no, he's reaching. You reaching. You trying to call him out.
This is 100% cope, but we've got to argue both sides.
No,
is that what, you can't be arguing if you weren't part of the design. You can't be doing that.
No. High speed dive, good card. I think it will see competitive play. I think it's good if you're happy to run 6 diff. I don't know if it'd be crazy amounts, but I'd imagine some of these air decks will be finding copies of it. Protect the recruits won't, and like I say, it just feels like a phoned in common. And honestly, it's not the end of the world. Like you do get some of that in a big set, but yeah, I agree, it is a little bit of a waste of a slot.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I feel like we could do something. What do you think, her? What do you think, bro?
I kind of agree, because going back to what they were saying about how you identify the card through the art. I don't know how you guys go through your cards, but I have cards in like one runners. So when I'm deck building, I'm just going through really quick, and I identify things a lot by the art. Granted, I don't have secret rares in these one runners, so I don't have that issue. But I can definitely see if you're just blowing through real quick, how if something looks too similar, you can get confused. I've definitely done that in older sets with cards that have like the same characters on them, but they're for like two different characters that end up clashing. So it's like, oh, this has Jeddah and Morgan on it, but it's a Jeddah card, or this has Jeddah and Morgan on it, but it's Morgan. So I can see where that can get really tricky. But yeah, I didn't even notice that was the same art. Good catch, Ty.
There's a thank you, sir. Thank you. There's a couple. Like I said, I'm sitting on some of the stuff that I've been just sitting there pondering, scratching my head. Rich, I'll be doing this. I'll be like, I want to say something, but I don't want to start nothing. I'm trying to be nice. But
hey, now you got a platform.
Thank you, man. Y'all let me come join. You let me come join. But like I said, I don't mean it disrespectfully. I'm just
Not like you have a YouTube channel or anything.
no, not at all. No.
No, but I think that's fine, right? Like ultimately, we're not here to just butter people up, right? Or just glow stuff. Like, criticism where criticism's due, and as long as it's valid criticism and not just big dicks about it, then it doesn't matter. It's fine. Hopefully, you'll take it on board.
Yeah, I would like to not see stuff like that. That's just me. They could take it if whether they choose to do it or not. Cool, but I just think unique cards. There's a reason why they are what they are. When it's an SR, I would want it to really like, man, that's that SR, right? Not once I catch it, then I'm like, I mean, it's just this. Obviously, the card's gonna do its thing, right? Right. You can't unsee that, right? And even with the effect, I feel like this might sound like it is a good card, but I feel like even then, there's almost like there's this. I still feel like there's even a holdback on the power level, right? Because that deadlock almost is like, I mean, sure, right? But it's like, what is that deadlock really doing for me? If I'm like, it's so far the way the air symbol is I'm just trying to kick stuff out because I just want to continue my attacks, right? So I don't even know if I'm going to even get to deadlock. Let's be honest, but maybe we do, right? Maybe we do get to deadlock. Shouldn't the deadlock be something that's like, okay, this game is going too long. Let's get something that's gonna.
We need to end it.
Yeah.
Let's see, right. Let's end it. Not something. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean it's not this, but it just feels like it's not. Yeah, that's gonna win me the game. It's just like.
Yeah, like a two diff attack is not going to be impactful to a game that is in deadlock, right?
You may not even run the 2 diff attack. You're expecting somebody to run the 2 diff attack, but there's only right now what I think there's only
Yeah,
one
but
or
if you're
two.
not expecting for them to go to deadlock,
There's a few, but they're not as impactful as you'd like. It's not like you could if in deadlock. I'd expect to be able to pick up an attack.
That's thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I feel like a SR. I feel like SR should be this thing, right? We got that's why I said the repeating art should not be the power level. It's not that it's got to be so out of line busted, right? But there should be a thing like I feel good
but it
that I
should be
got
worth it.
this.
Yeah, there's like
Thank you.
there's 6 total, right?
Thank you.
So like even if it was just like 3 or less.
Yes. 3, I could probably because there's a lot more threes that actually help you end games, right?
Yeah.
There's like the powerful 3 and all that. But
Mhm.
I guess what I'm thinking in my head, just me personally, and not to ramble on, but just because of the play style of right, I'm trying to just keep it going,
Yeah, they're trying to string out.
right? I'm like, did that have did it have to be deadlocked? Could it have been like I don't know if maybe it's a wording thing, right? They could have just maybe if your rival's at blah blah blah. You know, they'd like to do that a lot, right? You know,
What if
something that
they
says
what if they changed it to an attack or action with a printed difficulty of 2 or less from your discard?
Yeah, again, would have been more impactful. Like, there's plenty of actions that are worth picking up. Like, there's a
yeah.
couple on my list.
I'd happily jam this and go, okay, I play high speed diver in deadlock. I'll pick up a barrier shield for defensive. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
something
yeah.
like that.
A two diff card makes more sense than a two diff attack, right? Because
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
there's people that are not running two diff attack. Not that they can't, but you're expecting people to run it. And in the competitive scene, look, I know we're not trying to. I know we got a
Yeah.
mix, right? We got a mixture of competitive and non-competitive, but like even the two diff doesn't really like make you go, yeah, I want to play that two diff,
It also
right?
goes
Yeah,
It's just
there's
kind
into
of
just
like,
a
If it
breaker.
just said a card, it'd be better. But like to me, even if you just ignore the fact that Deadlock Blitz exists and you just play it
sure.
as this, I think it still has a place, and I still wouldn't be surprised if it sees play. But yeah, the Deadlock Blitz is for the most part blank.
Yeah, it's just me a little mediocre. I just don't. I think they could have did better with it, but that's just overall. I do like the art still. I do love what I do like what they did with the card as far as the
the interpretation of the
uh
art.
yes the interpretation of the art and everything, the kanji, all that. I love that. But like I said, aside from the repeated art and then the effect is kind of like this. I do like the +2 speed for the rest of the turn and all that. I think that's great. That's what it should do.
Yeah.
It should have that
Yeah.
feeling. I feel like it almost gets overlooked sometimes though, probably because of the deadlock. The deadlock that kind of almost makes you revert to something else. Maybe I can find something else that does better. Even though the +2 is great, I'll just play this instead, kind of thing. Right?
It
This
almost
kind of
feels like it
card,
has an ability just to have it.
this card kind of also goes back to what Chris was saying last week about the current clash of symbol identities, because this is a
hmm
card that clearly wants to be the only card in your card pool, but the
hmm
deadlock also wants you to string out more attacks. It wants you to go with it's trying to
That's
be both a Mikasa and a Levi card, and it's kind of
right.
And a Levi.
yeah. If it had an identity of just your attacks get +2 speed and you can pick up attacks, perfect. But Air is also trying to kick cards at your card pool, which means your strings are not going to be as long or as
That's
impactful, which means the two diff
right.
attack doesn't make that much of a difference
That's
for progressive.
that's right, because the two diff,
Yeah.
I think the only two diff that I saw was, or at least that I saw worth doing it, or not even worth it, but if they're talking about the two that I think they're talking about, it gets +1 damage or something for every
For each
other
weapon in your
weapon
card
or
pool.
yeah, see range
Yeah.
whatever, right? So it's just like okay, but if you're kicking stuff out of the carpool, it's what gonna get just plus +1, maybe +2, like you know what I mean? You're the air symbol kicks it out, so I'm trying to understand what their angle for that was,
Yeah,
but
the
maybe
air
there's two
symbol
checks.
wants you to kick stuff out, but they also want you to be the string symbol also at the same
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I
So,
could see
anyways.
measured violence being picked up if you've got the chaos. If you're playing on chaos, you've got confused strike if you're playing with death, which lets you commit your opponent's character. And yeah, apart from that, it's follow up barrage or running out of time, which is the breaker one, but doesn't really do it something like that.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the sword, you just
I
I
guess
think we can probably move on from this one now, right?
Yeah,
But
we
I
can.
think we agree. There's,
it was
there's,
worth going
there's
in for like 20 minutes on it just because of the mix up in the art.
Yeah, I was mixing art, but yeah.
Nah.
Anyways,
Okay, Hermit.
I've
you
got
up
one
next?
that's kind of I don't understand the art. If we're still going on that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so Dangerous
rules here.
Gambit. I put it on my list.
Ooh, I loved it.
which one is it?
Dangerous Gambit, the gun.
Dangerous Gambit.
Oh, okay. Let me.
So I get that it's arranged and all that, but I would assume that a card that references assets would at least make me think of some of the assets set. And I don't think we've seen anything with this rifle on it. But also, this card's insane. I love this.
Yeah.
This just lets me build my Cape of No Returns for free after I check them.
Mm,
And if you play
mm.
Chaos Mimic, you get to do all the things.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think this is more to do with the garrison cards. Like the Survey Corps, the garrison, the military police, like being able to commit those, get the effects ready in the backup.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. But since they're both blitzes, oh well, I guess you'd be able to ready it after you use it on another
Yeah, this
card
isn't
already.
this isn't meant to be the first one you play, and I think I think one of them does have a farm. So I've got a couple of them in a frame in front of me.
But yeah, it's a very cool card.
Garrison farm, add 2 wall counters to a card on your stage. Military police commit, flip 2 foundations, gain 3 health. If your character has the military police trait, draw a card. So yeah, you commit that, ready it back up, and then you just flip 2 more, gain 3 more health, and draw a new card.
All right, I can see that. It's just
adding so much. There's so many hoops.
I was just thinking with the Cape of No Return and with Chaos Mimic, this card alone as a rare is just nuts.
If you check a 3 on this with Mimic, you just get to laugh. With Cape of No Return, it's the same with a Psychic Spirit Glass. Just play Psychic Spirit Glass, drop this down, build it down, and go, yeah, I'm not going to mess about with your stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Or you get it unbox if you've checked it. This makes running assets so much easier because you only run like maybe 2 copies of any of them, and if you check it, it's usually just gone.
This shares symbols with Battle Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And you can ready Battle Arena.
And you can re-ready Battle Arena. That's not okay. That is not okay.
Yeah. Training weights.
Is that okay? I think it's okay.
I
think it's great.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the cards I could also see some decent play in retro, given how many silly stuff there is in there.
But yeah, like
don't even get me started. I'm just finishing up my Day 0 builds for all the Attack on Titan characters, and I've already got a couple of retro things built for like Natali 2 and Drill Man, who get to play these Titan attacks for free, literally. Like you don't even have to check for them, and it's insane.
Yeah,
but yeah,
free is not good.
Like I don't know, this feels like it's going to be Mimic's best friend, but I don't know how many copies are running of it because it is just a 4-mid-4, right?
I think this is a sideboard card for Mimic, really.
With Mimic?
What's that, sorry?
Because Mimic can pick it up if you check an asset, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, you probably do play some amount of copies of this, but yeah, I think you really have to be doing the asset thing reasonably hard for this to be worth it, or else like it just sort of does nothing. So, yeah, it's going to be in those sort of asset-centric characters. Obviously, works quite well with like if you've got air as well with another card on my list, so strategic maneuver. Other ways of sort of getting assets into your hand, or build them in your card pool. But yeah,
I guess it's also cool if you get card pool clogged with an asset. You can laugh.
All right. Man, if you get a bunch of face down cards, you can use Ein to just discard multiple cards out of your rival's hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a fair show.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff you can do with this. But yeah, whether Mimic finds room, I'd imagine he at least finds room for a couple of copies.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Trinket, add this card to your card pool. This attack gets +4 damage. Dangerous Gambit, build it in.
Yep.
Mm.
That could be, and then
No,
also
I'm
do
assuming
damage
Trinket
too.
is an enhance, right?
Yeah, but so you just
Yeah.
So you build it on your other attack, and you play this on a 6.
Yeah.
Build it back in.
Hmm.
It's still a little nasty.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good card. Like, how much play ends up seeing, I don't know.
Right.
Just because the stats on it are a little bit anemic. But I'd imagine Mimic's going to want a couple of copies, like at least one, just to try and find when he needs it. But a cool card.
So I'm just going down like the whole rabbit hole, and I think they mentioned in the article Dangerous Gambit and Gran Torino Agency as well because of the air attunement. If you've got an air chaos character, you just get to clear a card, commit Gran Torino Agency, draw a card, play this, ready it back up.
Yeah, that could work.
We're not here to deck build. We'll do a collab deck build on this stuff another time. We've got through like 4 cards in an hour.
Yeah. Okay, so
what we got?
I'm going to move on, and I'm going to pick one of mine.
I'm going to jump in first.
Go on, then.
I'm going to talk about a card that is visually stunning and even kind of isn't a manga panel, but because they've taken some artistic license with it, and I think it's a card that everybody loves the look of, and that is Last Second Dodge. The one where the attack titan is punching through the manga panels.
Oh yeah, that's a good
I believe in the manga that is just a single panel, and the creative team broke it up into 2 manga panels to get that kind of more last second dodge aspect of it. It's very, very cool and a very good use of the manga paneling in a card.
You said last second?
Last second dodge.
Last -second dodge.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Plus, it's always good to see throw hate.
Yeah. Like this is gonna.
Oh yeah.
Playing some sideboards, right? Just flip for -2 speed, losing the throw. I think is totally reasonable as a sideboard card. Like you don't always have access to the best versions sometimes, and I don't think Fire realistically has had much in the way of throw hate up until this point. So,
I don't think so.
Yeah, so this I think certainly we'll see play in sideboards at the very least.
Yeah. Speed reduction and throw hate will keep you alive.
I like what I do like about this is there's a few things about this card that I think is actually neat. I like the fact, yes, the throw hate. I like the fact that it's not because there's a lot of costly kind of ways for defense in this set, right? There's a lot of either removing, sacrifice it, or committing it, and it's like, okay, that's lessening my ability to be able to play defense. I like the fact that you can just flip it, right? So it still could be used as, you're not only minusing the 2 if it has throw, sure, but it's -2, and you can use it for being able to commit to be able to block it and successfully block instead of just commit, right? Because I feel like some of the cost I think that's some of the drawback that I feel even with the set that sometimes too is there's some high cost things for very, very little. And this card gives you a lot. The block mod on it is good too. 2 mid.
Yeah, the numbers on this card add up, right? In terms of like, sure, it's a 2 diff. Like when you compare this to something like Fast Friendship, which is a 1 diff flip for -2, sometimes -3. But like this having a nice 2 mid block, and also that really important extra line of text of and loses throw. So even if they're not playing throws, like this isn't embarrassing, right? This is solid. So this is sort of sideboard card that you could play in your main deck if you got space for it, right? So you could play like 2 copies main, and then if you wanted the other 2 side type thing, like having this in your main deck is not embarrassing because it's just flip for -2 speed, which is still a fairly solid effect.
On the other side of what Ty was just saying about the cost of commit versus flip and the fact that you've still got that resource up, I find flip to be a more dangerous cost at the minute because of how much ruin there is floating around. If I commit a foundation
Is
to,
there?
I mean, the fact you got to take into account Reiner has ruin on face, and he is going to be everywhere. He is the big
But you
bad
get
of
to
this set.
choose. Right, well, that's true, but you get to at least with this, but with Ruin, you get to choose the face down, right?
Yeah.
So if obviously you got to, it's still a strategic thing. You can't just obviously you're not going to be like, oh, -2 speed, so now he has a target, right? But
Yes.
it's the fact that you have the option. If you're not running into a Reiner's just one of them guys. Not to interject, I just wanted to add to like, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're right, but you know what I mean? It's
No. There's a
you
decent
have the
amount. I
option.
just wanted to get it out there that although Flip is a resource management advantage, now that
Mhm.
we do have ruin, it is not as big as an
Mhm.
advantage as it used to be.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I'm not concerned about ruin until I see it. So, like, I'm sure there are going to be something out, like including Reiner, but that doesn't put me off from playing Flip effects.
Like Aaron doesn't care about Reiner, right? He's like, oh, you made me ruin. Well, you ruin one, right? Ruin me, you ruin you.
We
Right?
should
So,
speak
and
about Erin and the fact that he has no cost on his flip. We spoke about it last week. After he flips, his enhance has no cost. So he can, even if you have nothing in your discard, you still get the 4 damage because of where the colon is. You don't need to remove
what?
2 cards to get the 4 damage.
Wait, what? Hold on.
Yeah, we found this out last week. It came up during the draft when I was playing my friend,
Let me see this.
and he only had one.
Oh, yeah.
He only had one card. His discard. He's like, I can't Erin. I was like, I can't attack time. I was like, you technically can because it goes enhance colon
Because the effect
remove.
is removed too,
Yeah,
not the cost.
so you do as much as you can. So you just
Oh, remove the card from your. Well, don't you have to do it? You do it.
you do as much
Yep.
as you can. So the attack time does not need a discard to get 4 damage.
You do what?
And we've just had the Erratus drop, and he wasn't on there.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. My mind. I don't
I
think
wonder if
was on
that means
purpose.
it was intentional or if they just missed it
I
somehow.
think it's just
I
been
don't think-
overlooked.
no.
I think.
I don't think it was intentional. Wait,
I just don't think.
tell nobody.
Yeah, I just don't
Tell
think anyone's
nobody.
brought it up to them. I think people are going to abuse it, and then it's going to get done.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if that gets errated. I don't know how big a deal it is, but we will see.
This is where we're just going to have like a little Lenoco pop up, and you're like, I'm in the chat.
Like if there's ever a card, if they ever do this, which I don't think they're gonna go this extreme because I still think that they're playing this kind of safe game. Like effects that say something. That'd be nice if they did this, like, during this enhanced step or during this turn, cards cannot be removed from, the discard pile, right? It's not
Yeah.
things that are unique feeling
Yeah.
like that. I don't think they're gonna do that, but if they did, that's a good thing.
They've done it
like,
before.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I mean, you
Well,
you
Like
have got
Smoken.
before.
you have got blanket effects like Barrier Shield that just says cards cannot be added to your opponent's
yeah.
during this attack, and you've got the
Yeah.
Midnight Foundation, which does the same thing. After they play an attack, cards cannot be added to your opponent's hand.
Well, we
Very
can
good
use
point.
that sort of to segue, right? Because the
Mhm.
card I was going to bring up
Yeah.
is like we can't go this podcast without talking about it because I think it's probably, some would argue, the best card in the set,
Ooh.
and certainly possibly a reason we should be thinking about graveyard hate. And like you were saying, ways of stopping things exiting graveyards, like discard, discard pathway, we'll call it. Maybe having to be more of a thing in the game because, risky encounter is going to be everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I've got 3 boxes so far, and I've only pulled 1.
I
Yeah,
opened
yeah.
2 cases, a draft, a pre-release kit, and I've got half the box that we got from UVS, and I have 3.
Me and
Yeah,
Richard,
I
you and I have
bought
similar
4.
cards. We got the same similar cards, Richard. I'm looking at them right now, like, yep.
Yeah.
was
I
gonna ask
have
about that
more risky encounters than I have potatoes, which is weird. But for me,
I think I only have 2 potatoes out of 3 boxes.
So yeah, this card's pretty cracked, right?
Yeah.
Like just
A little bit.
the ability to always have access to an attack from your discard pile is insane. And there's another card on my list that we can talk about that does a similar thing. We can sort of cover it at the same time. So this would be short work. which is just the first form sacrifice foundation out to your hand. But like this, just not being embarrassing to play on face, right? A 4 high 4 with stun 1 for 5 with a 1 high block, and then sometimes you might get some extra damage from the blitz. Isn't embarrassing, right? Let's say they've got 2 more foundations, so it's a 4 high 6 stun 1, 5 diff 1 high block. Like you're not playing that as in a constructed deck, but like it's not embarrassing to play. But then that form is just insane. Because it's not like first form. It's not like if you've got multiple, you can just chain through and just play 3 of these at the end of your string because of that -2 difficulty, so it becomes a 3 diff.
Honestly, this card alone has made me want to play Dabby 1 again. Because being able to destroy 3 foundations to get access to an attack, it fills all of his requirements.
Yeah, and then there's plenty of other ways of benefiting this from grenade erasers, share symbols. I'm pretty sure it does.
Yeah,
Karasu. There's other ways of getting benefit about sacrificing those foundations. There's things that Immortal Shapeshifter I think has death, so you can gain life off each of those foundations.
Yep.
One of my locals wants it for Mirko too.
Yeah, there's
because if you can
there's so many ways around it.
You can just do it again and make it even bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think Immortal, if I'm not mistaken, though, Immortal you can only do it once, right? You can't do it for all 3 because
you probably can stay in a life,
right?
but
I was making sure it's not like a individual run, right?
And the fact that it has death means it pops off with learning to harden, enormous axe.
I'm still mad that they changed the rule on what you go, but I ain't gonna get into that. That's a whole nother story. We'll leave that.
And then
wait a minute.
The death symbol shares many characters. Well, I say many characters. Some characters with the air symbol, so you can play lightning rod, and there are then 2 free foundations to play with this. Yeah. I mean, the card's bonkers. There's a reason it was $20 or something a card for a rare on TCG Player.
Doesn't Toga 3 have death as well? So you can just keep spamming this weapon?
It's a weapon. It's Toga 3. You can play it on that as well. So, it's the card's bonkers and is going to be everywhere.
I think this is going to be the attack that is absolutely everywhere. It's kind of like Battle Release. If you can put this in your deck, why aren't you putting this in your deck?
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily going to stay at $20, but it's going to be at Botan's coaching levels, right?
I should have got these off Big Orbit when they were £2 a pop.
Yeah.
See, I'll even say so. This kind of comes back to what I'm saying as far as certain designs, right? Here's a rare that says, "Oh my gosh," right? If I would say, if anything, as rare as it is to be pulled, I can see that more of an SR. If we're but it's cool that's a rare, right? In one sense, because it's a rare that's normally back in the day it was more not to go back and move, but let's be honest, the rares or the commons that had these kind of effects, you were ooh, we can get more of these so we can play it. This is a rare that also is hard to pull, right? So a good rare, hard to pull. It just the power. It almost. I'll even say it actually outshines a lot of the higher rarity stuff that probably should be punching better, right? That kind of. I don't know about you guys, but that kind of for me, that's once again
steam barrier.
I mean, the way I would look at it that way is there are 13 SRs, there are 32 URs, and 67 rares. So you're more likely to come across a Colossal Steam Barrier in their case than you are a Risky Encounter. Because you're guaranteed to see 1 SR in 13, but you're only going to see 17 rares out of 67?
So actually, you're more likely to pull this than any particular one. But because I mean, I've opened 3 boxes and I didn't open a single one of these.
It's short printed like a mug. That's a card that's really going to be expensive, probably for a good. If it's played and shows out a lot. If it doesn't show out a little, it doesn't show out as much. We might see a dip in it for a minute until a character really goes. Right now, we got speculations, right?
Absolutely off.
Yeah.
but there's a character that's going. This is a card that's literally says you better keep an eye on that card, right? Like it may not even show up now. People kind of got that vibe, like there's something I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about this card that's very, very busted, and it is busted already. Like it's kind of showing, but it's like no, that we haven't seen what makes this card ridiculous or the character that can really bring this to life just yet. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it will see play. Like, there's plenty of characters on it, like whether that's Toga, whether that's like the more fringe stuff, like someone like Karasu, or even like Levi. Like Levi was on my list. Like this just slots very easy into Levi. Whether you play 4 of them in a deck, whether you maybe play 2 or 3 because you sort of maybe want 1 or 2, but like you always want to see them. I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes like all over the place.
Yeah.
I would even just add into what you just said, and let's just talk about the fact of why the card is not. I know a lot of times we say in the form itself is busted, right? And it's a form, not a first form, nothing like that. The form itself is nice, right? The blitz is also nuts, right? You're like, okay, not only that, right? Lowering the difficulty, all that, right? But let's look at the stats. It's a 1 high block, right? It's a great block modifier, right?
Yep.
Stun 1.
It has stun 1, so you can almost say 5 high, right? Well, I know we don't use this, I know, but you know what I'm saying? Stun 1, right? So now I took their resource again, right? 4 high for 4. It's like no, it's not a bad check. It's actually honestly for the card for what it does. I think 5 difficulty is fine. The way they've been printing cards, you would have thought that something like this would have been a 6 difficulty, right?
I would say this probably more deserved a 2 check than anything else.
Right, that's what I'm saying. There's so many other things like you see quick work, and don't get me wrong, no disrespect to it, it's good, but even then, the card still is like. It's cool. You get to pick it up. You destroy or sacrifice, cool, right? And you get speed, blah, blah, blah. But anyways.
You're talking about characters that you want to, you said that we're looking for a character that's going to kind of like abuse and put risky encounter on the map. What do you think of Wolfwood encounter?
Yeah, again, he works with ranged and weapons, right? So he gets to just put some more damage on it.
And he has self-mill and face, so you can keep putting them in the discard.
Yeah, I think
if it goes to momentum, you get to pitch it again to draw more cards.
Yeah, this works really well in Wolfwood.
Yeah, I agree.
I think there's so many characters that are going to want access to this. Like,
I would even say any characters that do milling to try to race to get stuff in the discard pile. Anything that does that, I think they're definitely gonna love this card. If they can run this card, if they have the symbol or they have access to it, any cards that do milling, I think.
It's a staple. It should be on. If you've got it, you should be running it.
There's no reason not to run. I don't. There's no reason to not even run 4 of them, right? But sorry, Hermit. I don't know if you were going to say something. My bad. I didn't.
Oh, I was just thinking to myself because you could also. One of my locals is really high on Bakugo 4.
Mm-hmm.
You could.
It's a Fury.
You could. Yeah, and you can kick this, so you can always keep your damage, but you can kick this. Force them to discard a card, then play it from your discard pile again.
Yep.
That's spicy. That is spicy.
That's that.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with this card.
It is. The card is
void. Taking it's death attuned, so you can just run it in a void deck.
That's it. That you know what? See. I like.
Because then you're ripping cards out of their hand, and all that damage is going to land anyway.
And I like that. I like cards like that do that versus. I wish there was more cards like that. I think that's the problem that I always have is like there's always that one, and I know we could say, well, there's usually one. No, it's like why can't there be a multitude of cards that make you feel like that, right? It shouldn't just be one to where everybody's focused on.
Back in old school standard before pre-MHA.
Yep, there it is. That's
or like if you're a character that has like evil, good, or order, and death. You can play the Hawks Foundation that goes and tutors it into your discard pile.
Relax Demeanor.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
I guess we'll.
Basically, it's just Elder Toguro without having to put with foundations instead of being a character.
Yeah. The card.
And you can run it Elder Toguro, so you get 2 free attacks from the discard pile.
You can. Yeah, you just keep abusing your discard.
You can pitch this to play something and then play it from your
Yeah,
discard pile.
exactly. While we've talked about Risky Encounter, let's talk about a direct counter to Risky Encounter. And for some reason, a very expensive pearl the last time I checked. Sins of the Past.
It's probably expensive because it gets rid of Risky Encounter.
And combined firepower.
That's
yeah.
So
yeah. So when you play it,
Risky Encounter and combined firepower. Yeesh.
But the fact it's on death, so it's a counter to the deck you're playing.
Yeah, see, so it's like, you see what I'm saying? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, though. Like, we're going a certain theme here, but then we're putting cards on cards that do what it does what it does. But then this card that probably could use a reverse, right? The cards that are lacking in that, I mean, the symbols that are lacking don't get those pieces to deal with the problem, right? They just kind of, it is what it is, right? And
it's
that's
very similar.
In the past is Irwin, right?
Yeah, it's very similar to the Younger to Go meta, where it's like, oh, you have answers like Genkai's Guidance and Always Cool, and it's like, oh, all these cards that have the Younger to Go symbols, so I can just play. So I have to play Younger to Go to counter Younger to Go.
I think there is definitely room in the game for more graveyard hate. Obviously, since the Past was one.
What hate?
Oh, sharp. Obviously, there's like Deception Dagger, that works, but again, is also on the death symbol. But yeah, I think
there is a lot on the chaos symbol.
There is,
because there's cards like Confused and Deception Dagger. But I honestly thought Sins of the Past had order, not death, because I saw Irwin's face. I'm like, oh, he's primarily an order character.
He's order death, isn't he?
Death instead of order.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
I thought it had order for some reason.
I mean, it kind of makes sense thematically for the Sins of the Past to be a death card.
That makes sense. Well, before we go,
but yeah, I definitely think.
Hold on, Richard. Ty was speaking at a point.
Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead, Rick. I'll let you finish. I'll just ask before I go to the next one anyway. So go ahead, Rick.
Are you breaking up?
Yeah, he's breaking up a little bit. While we get set up. Hello? You're breaking up a little bit that time.
The Matrix.
He's gone too far away from the router.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Better.
Am I good? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you're good. Good.
I don't know what happened. I was gonna say, go ahead, Rich. You can.
Yeah, I was just going to say, sort of further to what you were saying. I think there definitely is room in this game for, like I say, more graveyard hate, more things that are interacting. Whether that's removing cards or just turning stuff off. Whether that's even just for a turn, right? Whether that's like a turn, or whether you have like an asset that maybe affects both players, or I don't know, a backup that does it. But I think there's probably some way of having discard pile hate happy now in the game, or more interaction. Like I like what Sins of the Past is doing in terms of being targeted and saying no, not that card. But yeah, I think more effects, like you were saying, like things can't interact from the discard pile this turn, and even if that is just an enhanced remove, things can't leave the discard pile this turn, or some of those lines. So it's just like it doesn't affect just shut off the strategy for the rest of the game by playing it, but just gives you a turn of it not happening. I think there's room for it, and I'm almost surprised they haven't put more of that in this set. Given they've put things like Risky Encounter. Obviously, we've got stuff happening previously, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that comes in the future.
Well, and before we even jump to another card, just to touch on this subject, because I think this is a really important subject that I even wanted to talk about. I'll probably talk about it still at some point on the channel. As much, I agree. I would love to see more cards that interact with stopping stuff that happens in the discard pile, whatever. But then I also would like to see more discard pile things. Right? There's we have a lot of things that are starting to go. We're starting to go into the realm of milling, and there's some cards that do things, and we're getting ready to lose some cards. Honestly, actually, we're getting ready to lose cards that interact in the discard pile. Right? So we're kind of getting ready to go away from the importance of milling. Right? It's like I'd like to see more things like, oh, when this hits the discard pile, or when it's discarded from the top of the deck, or whatever. And I almost feel like they were going that route. And I feel like, now I could be wrong, but I almost feel like when they were designing stuff, like even for Aaron, like almost like the discarding, they thought that discarding was discarding from the top of the deck, not just discarding from
Yeah.
hand. And they realized afterwards,
Well,
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
To touch on you're touching on, it seems like they're changing that to, instead of just trying to fill your discard pile, a lot of milling is trying to force you to cycle faster, because you have a lot of the
Right.
fire stuff that's like, if you have cycled this game, do X. If
Right.
you've cycled this game, do Y. So instead of just milling to fill your discard pile full of combined fire powers and risky encounters, you're trying to run through to cycle, and then you're focusing more on your removed pile.
Man,
So it
who
seems like
gave
that might be what they're.
what's happened there? Oh,
Is that on?
I think time I got. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You shouted. I froze.
So, I was just going to say, who decided to give Endeavor 3 a load of cycling matter fire tuned cards?
Yeah, that definitely seems like it's. Oh, this is what Fire's gonna do. Forgetting who was Fire. Little bit.
Just a little bit. So you got Dabby 1 who's like, if I got 10 foundations, I get to give someone throwing 8 damage, and Endeavor 3, like, I get to just completely pop off.
Yeah, I get to race. Who's gonna kill who first? Are you gonna kill me, or am I gonna kill me?
Oh, you thought Godzilla was the problem. Once I cycle, I get to be Godzilla with a speed. What do you mean?
Oh, there we go.
You're back.
Time's back.
Yeah, sorry about that. My bad.
It's cool. The show went on.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, Ty, do you have another card to talk about? Because since the
Yeah.
class is cool, but we've got a lot more we can get through.
Okay. Well, let me see if I can. You want me to just kind of like throw stuff that are more like similar, so that way it doesn't like try to prolong it instead of just. Do you want me to just do one card? Or you want me, 'cause I can.
You do you, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah, just pick what you want to
All
talk
right,
about.
so let's do it like this. Okay, so we already spoke about it, but real quick, this isn't the card, but I'd like to just point out again. I did find another repeat art.
Oh, no.
Whirling slash. Yep, whirling slash, and incapacitating strike.
Mm-hmm.
Look at him. Yeah, I'm gonna change your life. Yeah, like go look at these cards, and you'll be like, look at them.
Yep.
Same.
They're doing Levi dirty.
But it's a fire card instead of an air card this time.
So you see what I'm saying? So I just pointed it out.
Just give me 1 second while I get them up, because I'm just wondering if it's an intentional thing. Like, if we look at all the SRs, can we find corresponding art for them?
You know what? You might, but right now I'm looking and I'm like, I really don't like. I just don't like repeated art. That's just me. I think that I don't want to say. I don't want to sound.
Once is a coincidence. Twice is even neglect. Well, I'm not going to say neglect. Is either intentional or they knew what they were doing, kind of thing.
I'm sure. I mean, and maybe they were. Maybe it was one of those things like, hey, we don't have to use any more unique art. We can let's just zoom in this, and nobody will notice, right? I feel like in some cases, and they may have, maybe they did do it. I think there's double, right? I think there's part of it is intentional, and then part of it, like, maybe they won't notice, and it's like, no, we got some passionate people that are going to catch this. Like I said, me personally, I don't like repeated art. I just don't. I think I don't want to. I'm trying to be mindful when I say this, but if I'm going to say, the only word I can think of is tacky. Like, it's kind of tacky, right? It's like what like it's like I don't want to say I'm sure there's a better word. There's definitely a better word, but there's the repeated art in the way that it is. It's like, what are you trying to do on that, right? What is the reason why he's doing it? But anyways, I wasn't trying to do it. I just wanted to show another repeated art. So let me not do it. Let me talk about
300 card set, so maybe they just didn't have enough art.
That's so, which comes back to, like, intentional, but also
300 cards.
That's okay. You caught it. There we go. That's what I was saying. So while y'all are there, so the card that I'm gonna try to go in a more. It's not that we weren't going positive, but I'm gonna try to go in a little bit more of a positive thing. Where's it at? So, have y'all talked about well orchestrated attack yet?
Not yet. It's on our
Okay.
list. So
No.
we can jump on that.
Okay, because I have. I mean, I could. if y'all have it on the list, I can do a different card if you
No,
want.
no.
If you want to
When I
that.
say the list,
Okay.
it's just basically, well,
Whatever we've talked about.
yeah. Where is well
Okay.
orchestrated?
Well orchestrated attack is.
Yeah, it's basically it's Richard and Hermit gave me a list of cards, and they're all on here. Just so basically, when I say it's on the list, it means it's what we're going to talk about at some point.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I came in the last minute. I had it on. I just went to my list real quick and was like, all right, let's see what it is. So I'm kind of just right. So I don't have to talk about the other ones that. So I actually knocked 2 of them off. By the way, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. Just the repeated art. That's why I had them on the list. Not that we had to talk about them. But yeah. So this attack. All right. I'm gonna talk about the aesthetics first, all right? The way the composition. In person, this card is actually very pretty. This card is very pretty. The pink, the way it pops out, it's a good looking card. I don't know if y'all, I'm sure y'all have seen it, but it's just a dope looking card as far as the color. It does seem like there's a lot going on in there, right? So you kind of almost can't make out who's who, who's attacking, whatever.
That's to make you chase the obsidians.
Huh?
The obsidian of this would be full art, wouldn't it? So you'd be able to see a lot more.
Yes, yes. Because I would like to see this card more, right? I want to see something, and I honestly, now I could be wrong, but this is why I don't believe it was intentional because that's not a repeated art. I haven't found
No.
the art that looks like that. Just
checked.
to point that out. So anyways, let's talk about the fact that 5 difficulty, 2 high block. Okay, already, what you call it is still better in block wise, but let's see. It's 5 high, 4 damage. Speed cool, 4 damage. All right, cool. Blitz, your rival mills 1. If the mill card is an attack, you draw 3. Otherwise, you draw 1, and then this attack gets plus 1 damage for each card in hand. I think it is gimmicky, but I feel like it's also a sleeper card. Now, the 2 check, I don't know if it necessarily, because it's gimmicky, I don't know if it's worth a 2 check. But you do have things on this symbol that does adjust the symbol, right? I mean, adjust the checks, right? So, you can use what was the card I have on my list? Annie's Gamble, right? So, and it's playable while committed.
Yeah.
That's that card that adds a check after you make a check.
If you check, so this, I've got a Life of Danger as well, which in attacks for 2s.
Yeah. See.
So I don't agree.
Sorry, go ahead. What are you saying?
I don't agree.
You don't agree with well orchestrated attack?
I think this card's cracked. I don't think there's any kind of if buts or maybes about it. I think this card's ridiculously good and well worth the 2 check.
100%.
And I think
I didn't. I wasn't. That's why I said I wasn't sure yet until that's what I'm saying. As far as how people are viewing it, not that it is not that it shouldn't be a 2 check. I'm trying to gauge how everything is playing, but which I was going to go into the point of at the same time, it being a 2 check, it does say on your first attack, if this is your first attack, you're a 7-hander, you draw the card, so you come back to a 7-hand, that's 7 damage. It's a 7 damage attack, like 5 high for 7 damage. Or no, sorry, 5 high for
11
damage, right? If you draw 3 more cards, what, even more, right? That's 10, right? 14 damage. So yeah, that's why you're saying it's like gimmicky, but it's also like if it hits.
See, for me, it's sort of almost not gimmicky. Like the mill one is sort of almost irrelevant, right? It might mess with the opponent sometimes. It might benefit them. It's sort of almost not a cost. It's just a randomness to it. But this is like at bare minimum, it's a 5 high for 5 replaces itself, right? That just you draw a card. That was the only card you had in your hand. You play this is your last card in your hand. It's just a 5 high for 5 that drew a card, right?
Well, it wouldn't be for 5 at that point, would it? if you've got no cards in your hand, you've got to be deep into your turn. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
he's saying-
that's
yeah,
like
he's-
your very, very worst case scenario.
Yeah, he's saying like if that was the last card you're playing somehow,
Yeah.
which it'd be
And like
pretty bad.
that's not worth a 2 check, but a 5/5 that drew a card with a 2 high block might see play if that was a 3 check, right? Just because it cantrips, like people love their cantrips. Like it's
Sure.
not the worst. But the fact is, this sometimes might draw you 3. I don't know, sort of, 1 in 3 times you're going to draw you 3 cards, which is bonkers. And also, you're never really playing this more than maybe 2 or 3 cards deep. Like, so you're very likely to be giving this 4, 5, 6 damage.
Mm-hmm.
So this being something that they have to deal with, right? Your opponent has to interact with this, or they're taking 10 to the face. And
Yeah.
it's got a reasonably high speed to begin with. So if you can just put some speed on this, and even then, like even if you don't do anything else, you don't spend any more resources on this attack,
Yeah.
right? It's just a 5
It's
high
still-
for 9 for 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Catch.
11, right?
Yeah.
6-hander.
I mean,
6-hander. Good.
If you,
Yeah,
slam,
so like-
if you slam this in
Hermit-
Toga
Hermit-
3,
oh.
if you slam this in Toga 3 as your first attack, this
Hmm.
is an 8/12 with just mill if you don't mill an attack.
Yeah. So but again, we're assuming we're not interacting with this any further, right?
Yeah.
It's just a 5 high. You're a 6-hander. We played this. We drew 1. 5 high for 10. Catch. With that as it replaced itself. Like, what more do you want? Like, and that is
Yeah.
again bare minimum sort of here. We could have drawn 3, and it could be coming in for 12, and we can interact with it and put speed on it. We can do other stuff. So
And Herman, well, you were going to say something. Herman, go ahead. I was going to.
Yeah. A really fun trick. You can actually stack your rival's deck with cards like House of Cards as a form if they have an attack on top of their discard pile. Play this,
Ooh.
force them to mill, draw the 3, and I know we have a Dobby fan in the house. Dobby 3 can give it a lot of speed by forcing them to make a bunch of checks during the attack.
yeah.
He's got Chaos
Hey,
and Evil.
Yeah, you'd have to
See?
mill it on evil.
See?
Yeah.
See,
And it
my
and it
dude right
works
there.
with your mill strategy.
Or
There we go. You know what? My
This is
dude.
all I do all day.
we give this like the 6 damage, whatever. So it's a 5 high 10, and then we remove 8 foundations from our discard pile, and it's now
Give
a
it a
throw.
throw.
So
Yep.
I'm glad you said
And it
it.
comes in
So
with 3 damage from not being your first attack if you played it on a 6.
see, and I guess that's what I was going to actually get out. You jumped the gun, Richard, because I was trying to act like I was not for this card, and then I was going to be like, but and then Richard's like, no, I don't agree. I was like, that card go in, but no. Honestly, my point in bringing up the card is I think people are sleeping on the card. I think people do not actually realize this is one of those cards. This is one of those cards that I believe it'll start out kind of right? Everybody's kind of like, I don't care about the guy. It's a 2 check, blah, blah, until somebody starts abusing this card or finds the combo with it, and then they're gonna go, oh, I need it, and that's when we're gonna see this card go from like $8. Like right now, it's like I think it's like 10, maybe 11, but like it's gonna go down for a minute. Now, unless people are watching this and they're gonna see it, then people are gonna probably jump on it after. But
Hey,
we all agree. Only once. Right now, they're like, you're going to have people that are going to say, I got to see it to believe it. And I'm looking at the card already. I'm going to pick up a playset. I got to pick up a playset before it gets bad, right?
Mhm.
Because
I've got
this
2
card is. See, you're already ahead of me, man.
I
So
pulled one of these in the same pack that I pulled a Secret Rare Beast Titan alt.
get out, get off the stream, get off the stream. All right, just nah. It's
We don't need your negativity here.
so
I
it
still
just.
pulled one
no-
risky encounter in 3 boxes.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Well, like I said, I think the 2 check is going to do something serious. I think that it does. I don't even think it matters about the 2 check. Yeah, you hate checking it, right? Yeah. It's you hate checking something like that, just like anything else.
Watch
But
it doing a little bit, right?
yeah,
You just
but
have
you
to skew a little bit lower. That's it.
well, and that's why I said you have cards to adjust for the check, right? There's stuff that even if let's just say this, you can even I'm gonna kind of throw in another card. I don't know. Hopefully, it's not stopping on anybody, but just to prove of adjusting to something like this, something simple as if you've already built momentum, Swarm of the Titans, right? You could play Swarm of the Titans to adjust the check, the check. So it's like, even if you're running 4 of this card, it doesn't matter about the bad check because depending on how many momentums you got, it says your second card or second attack.
Yeah,
is good. You see what I mean? Like it's like okay.
It also shares chaos with Battle Arena.
Do you see what I'm saying? So we have,
and you might share a symbol with something that can play Life of Danger, right? So that mitigates that 2 check as a spam. Yeah. So I think well orchestrated attack to me is one of the better, if not the best secret rare. I don't know whether I'd go as far as to say it's the best so far, but it's certainly like I would say top 3. And if it's cheap, then I think it's like very slept on. And honestly, I think a lot of that is because of the 2 in the corner and people are chicken and they need to get over it.
Yeah, there's. I think they're sleeping. I think people.
I'm crazy.
See, we're also old heads, right? Old heads that understand certain things, right? We don't care about the 2 checks because 2 check is still, to me, I think a 2 check is still like great. If you, I know some 2 checks have kind of been a little mediocre. That's the thing that I'm hoping that they still stay with. Like, if we're going to lower the check, make sure that there's a reason why the check is low, right? Make it worth it. Don't be like, hey, it's a good card. It's cute. It's like, no, I don't want it to be cute. Let it do something.
TCG Player has the market value of well orchestrated attack at $11.66, so about $12.
Yep. Yeah. So, that's what I'm saying. Thank you, Richard. That's my point. I think that the card does a lot more than people realize. Don't let it be that there's that one time that you get 2 or 3 of them in your hand in one turn, right?
The market value of the Obsidian, however, is $25, but the only one that's for sale is at $190.
Oh, which one is this?
The Obsidian well orchestrated attack. The last one sold for $25, and the only listing is up there for $190.
Yeah. It's. Anyways, that was really. I didn't mean to jump on another card so quick. I was trying to mix it in there to that way. I don't know how much time y'all being on this stuff. But that's what I think.
This Obsidian well orchestrated attack.
Hey,
Yo, I'm gonna try to pick up mine ASAP. I'm gonna try to pick up. Don't do that. Don't do that. I really think the card is. I think the card really is pretty. I think the card is very pretty, and I think the card is actually stronger than people realize. I could be wrong, but I'm the same way with you guys. Like, I think that's one of those cards like nobody's realizing it or paying attention to it right now until right when we get. Don't let there be a character that has the chaos symbol that starts modifying the checks. Don't let it be like, give +2 to the check, right?
It's got a momentum +2 to your next check.
Yeah, don't
5 difficulty attack, it gets +3 damage.
Cards like
that. You could City Rampage it.
You could see Imagine checking a well orchestrated attack when you're playing your City Rampage.
Yeah.
Well, see. Well, I was talking about. I wasn't just talking about just. I was talking about another character that does it just free, like that's just what they get to do without even momentum. Which I don't know if they're going to do that. I know Godzilla does it. Tim Keith did it. That's why I was like, remember, Tim Keith was given free +2. So I'm just saying, you're talking about Godzilla. I'm talking about stuff like Tim Keith. I don't think they're going to do that though. I think they realize. Right? So, but no, you're absolutely right, Richard.
He rolled me twice per turn because they realized he ran away with it.
Yeah, you're right though, Richard.
You've got a Chaco, which Chaco free, which gives you which lets you increase your check value.
I think just accept it to 2 and play, build your deck around it, and it's fine.
Godzilla, I just think right. Same thing. Just set the 2 and just.
Yeah,
gentle.
Now, you know what? Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
Are we cooking with Gentle Criminal?
Throw another one at you.
No,
I think I know what I'm doing. It's actually Gentle Criminal needs something like that though. Like he needs something to like end the game kind of thing. Like he has it, but like he needs that. And I think something like that could be the if people can not be afraid of the check, I think this card really is going to it's gonna hurt some feelings, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, that card is busted. That card is busted." It's like, yeah, it's always been busted, right? So, anyways, I'm done. I didn't mean.
City Rampage, Gentle Criminal can confirm this is gonna hurt feelings.
And then don't let it be that they get lucky with the daggone mill. Like they're like, "Oh yeah, mill that. Oh, that's an attack."
Draw 3. It's gonna keep rolling.
Oh, you better block it.
He also gives speed too to help it connect.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're gonna. Oh my. Yeah. Anyways, my bad. I got excited for 2 seconds. My bad. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
I was looking for all the characters, and I was like, I really miss Mina 1 this set.
Oh man, don't get me started.
So, I guess we can talk about maybe a little package. I'll go, and I've got sort of an example card. So we're going Levi's Overhead Strike.
Oh yeah.
Representing a theme and characters and stuff, but it's just sort of an example for it. So this is, and, there's a lot of cards that kind of could do this. And this is the fact that progressive difficulty doesn't exist anymore. And this is like, Levi and all what he's doing, Mikasa, what she's doing. And there's obviously a lot of other things that are, messing with progressive difficulty, like in clearing stuff. And I do worry it's gone a little too far. And they sort of made that Air's identity, and they're kind of forcing this kind of color pie thing onto Air. Sorry, and I think it might be a bit too much. Just how easy it is to not play progressive. Like, we were playing a few games, so we got Gary in chat the other day, and it just felt like progressive difficulty wasn't a thing. Like, he was playing against Mikasa deck, I was playing like a Levi, I was then playing with like some Ymir that again was just cheating progressive with things like Instant Shining Flash and obviously Midst of Despair and stuff. It just feels like all over the place, and it's like, well, progressive difficulty is one of the key mechanics of this game and one of the key balancing things, and if you're just going to effectively remove it from the equation, it's the fucking point. And it makes even like that 3-diff tribal even less worth it, because why am I playing these things so I can get these big strings and have these low difficulty attacks? So it means I can play 5 or 6 attacks when I could just play decent attacks and just clear them, because that's what everything fucking does. Like, if it wasn't so pushed everywhere in terms of like the card pool clear, like it would maybe make this like a 3-diff tribal more enticing.
It is really only an Air thing. I know Life has a couple of ignore progressive, but it's really only like part of Air's symbol identity now. They just get to kick.
Yeah, but Air is the symbol that wants to do the 3 difficulty thing, right? They've got all the 3 difficulty tribal stuff, but none of it's good enough, because just playing good attacks and clearing them, because that's what they all do, is just so much better.
I guess it depends on your actual players. It goes back. Yeah, it goes back to what Chris was saying last week. Of Air is in 2 mindsets. One, it wants you to string out long and have lots of cards in your card pool for some of the attacks, and then you've got cards like this one which don't want you to have cards in your card pool, so you can string out without progressive.
And one of those is much better.
Yeah, because you're getting lots of high damage, high speed attacks that are playing on consistently 5s. No,
it's almost like in trying to give the symbol a specific identity, they might have overcorrected a little bit on this first shot.
I mean, it's a similar thing with what they've done with Chaos, making it the momentum one. It's like things like Swarm. When we covered Swarm, it's like, oh, if you've got X momentum, you get to just hash your next check, and like that's a little bit nuts that your opponent cannot even interact with that ability. Amajiki and Berthold love that card.
Yeah, there's also another one, isn't there, that gets speed and damage based on your momentum?
Yeah, I think there's another one.
Another one that we just got, like the EA reprint that does that, and we have Armor V8, so you can just run this I have 5 momentum. All of my attacks are getting +5/+5.
And you've got
Yeah, that's that.
You've got an Annie attack that just gives you momentum if you haven't got any, which Godzilla absolutely loves to play as their first attack.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
does the Annie one a 5 diff or a 6 diff?
5 diff, I believe.
Okay, because there's a 6 diff that just gets you a free momentum as you play it, even if you have momentum. So
Falling debris is what you're talking about, by the way. Falling debris.
Right.
And that card, that card is actually strong. I think that card is actually good.
Yeah, because in Deadlock you get 2 free cards to your momentum as well.
Mhm.
So you could run the whole.
And it's 2 high breaker 1.
Yeah, I was about to say it's got breaker 1 as well. Like it's a solid card. Yeah, I think that card is incredible too. Sorry, I was just gonna call out the name.
You're cool, but yeah, because you've got the Annie one that's a 5 diff that I think it's like a 5 mid 6. That if you have no momentum, add 1.
Oh, massive swing.
Yeah, and then you've got a 6 difficulty 6 mid 6 that for 1 higher difficulty you get more speed and you guarantee a momentum no matter what.
It might be a different one because what I'm seeing, Falling Debris is a 5 diff 4 for 6.
Determined Advance is the one I'm thinking of. Blitz, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. It's a 6 mid 6 with EX3 and its speed and damage cannot be reduced below printed.
Yeah.
Which one is that one? That was
Determined Advance.
Essentially,
Determined Advance. Yep.
Yeah, so essentially it's a 9 mid for 6 because it also has EX3.
Yeah. As opposed to the Massive Swing, which is powerful 2, 5 mid for 6 as a 5 diff, and you have to have no momentum to fetch a momentum.
Yeah.
Unless you're in lock in which you can just get a momentum for free. So maybe sometimes 2 momentum, but also it's got powerful, but you can mess with it. Determined Advance says, I don't even care that you're holding Barrier Shield.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can reduce me to 6, but that's as low as I go.
Yeah.
No, I think, yeah. I you know what I'm liking, because I'm about to have to jump off, fellas, but I overall for the just to even touch on this subject of the chaos, I do like that, and it kind of comes back to what you were saying also, Richard. And I get what you're saying as far as it's overdoing the whole thing about playing without progressive, right? And it's almost like they're really starting to tackle the whole idea of each symbol has their identity kind of thing, because I felt like we kind of went away with, I don't even know why they did it, but it kind of went away from it. It's almost like things were all over the place and nothing was really signified anymore what this was, that was. And it seems like now with the attune, it's now kind of pinpoint. So like even with the chaos, you're seeing a lot more checks, but momentum building, right? It almost seems like their whole theme is momentum this, momentum that, do this, right? It's like kind of narrowing it down. So that is something that I am appreciating, if you will, right? And maybe that's the whole point of it, right? I don't know. I'm gonna talk about it more in another video, but that's just something that I noticed that I do like that. I want to play the chaos symbol more to see what kind of funky stuff. I like stuff that seems like there's always something happening, right? And it feels like chaos right now kind of feels chaotic. Like something's always happening.
The Titans are very chaotic, so we'll start to wrap up if Ty has to go, because it's great having you here. There's one last thing I did want to touch on, and that's characters, because you've got 2 different themes of like card styles for the characters. You've got like Levi, where you've got the full body shot and you get to see the equipment, and you've got the same with like Eren and Mikasa, and then you've got your Kristas, your Bertholds, your Reiners, where it's kind of just like an upper body shot, and both are very, very cool to look at, but in terms of the foiling on the cards, it's a lot more predominant on the full body characters than on the upper body characters. So one of my locals pointed out they didn't even realize the foil pattern was the characters were foiled and the backgrounds weren't on their Reiner. But when they saw it on a Levi, they noticed it a lot more because you had a lot more space around the character to actually notice the matte black on the foiled character.
I don't know if I noticed that. Although the only foil character I've pulled that wasn't like an alt art was a Connie, I think. I might have gotten a Krista, but yeah, that was
Even
the
the
bottom
rarities,
that I
yeah.
got.
I got a beard.
Rarities things, yeah.
I'm gonna have fun with my foil bearded Titan.
I did pull one of those at a pre-release, and I gave it to the store because they thought it was funny.
Yeah, I pulled little in my draft. I pulled 3 bearded Titans, and I was just like, and one of them being foiled. I was
You
like,
didn't draft.
I was like, you know what? This game is trying to tell me
So
stop
close.
playing because that was horrible.
Someone's
You
gonna
know,
open
maybe they'll
6.
change it.
Someone's gonna open 6, and I'm gonna.
Don't speak that evil. Don't speak that evil. But yeah, no. But other than that, guys, thank you so much for having me, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me tag along. I look forward to doing this again with y'all because like I like tackling these kind of cards and getting to chat about it and share thoughts, observations, stuff. It's just great. Richard, love you, man. Richie, man. Hermit, love you, man. All you guys, man. It's great chatting with y'all, and I look forward to being able to share the battlefield again with y'all one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, I got to build some walls too, man. I guess
hopefully we get to see you at Worlds.
I was gonna say you reminded me of the wall, so I was like, yeah, I need to build some walls while I'm at it. But
I've got
maybe I will.
behind me. If you look at the stream, I had to rebuild it after Flynn knocked it down. That's like that's the video that went out today. Is Flynn knocking down my wall?
Well, definitely, man. Well, look, love you guys.
Before you head off, Ty, do check out our shorts because I think tomorrow we have a short of Richard open a pack of cards with a cheese grater.
Don't give it away.
Wow! He just gave it away. That's what we're doing.
It's
okay.
People need to be prepared. It's unhinged. It
Which is like, stop it.
It hurts to edit. I don't know how we did it.
Yeah, we can wrap up there. Obviously, really big thanks to Ty and Hermit. Obviously, guys, if you want to do yourselves a quick shout out, tell people know where they can come and see you and see all your content.
Yes, Ty's House of Cards. You already know.
I'll make sure to put it in the description of the video as well.
Yeah.
And use Hermit on YouTube.
We're definitely, man. It's just anywhere we're gonna be able to talk. We're gonna talk definitely. Like I said, we're gonna talk more about some stuff. I'm gonna talk about some things, and look, I want to get one where I get to have y'all on the show too, man. I'm gonna do a live or something. I don't have this whole stream equipment yet because I'm trying to get we're in the process of moving and stuff. So it's a lot of shebang. So that's why my content's also been like really like sporadic because every time I want to do something is like, so anybody that's viewing, everybody that's watching, that has watched it, that has been supporting, appreciate you guys, and just know I'm coming back, just trying to get everything situated. And I have a nonprofit organization that I just started, so it's a whole bunch of stuff, but it deals with community building, and impacting purpose and using the card games as well as just people, just all those elements of just being able to discover the inner purpose in you, man. So
that's awesome.
That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously, guys, go check out Ty over on YouTube and his on-profit stuff, and obviously UVS Hermit. Go show those guys some love on their streams and their channels. Go subscribe to those guys. And obviously, everyone watching, thank you very much in Twitch for chatting along with us. And if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you very much for watching. Do the like, subscribe, all that stuff. And thanks so much, guys, for joining us, and we will see you on the next one.
Yeah, big
shout out, guys.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
See ya.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Why is it being later?